let's get comfortable because we have a lot to discuss. I had to do this on my bed because there's so many books just surrounding me right now. So today I'm going to be doing my mid-year wrap-up. I think this is called like a mid-year freakout tag. I don't really know. I'm gonna be doing a mid-year tag and answering a bunch of questions about the books that I read this year. I've read 71 books from January to June, so those are the books that I'm gonna talk about. I've read a few since then, but I'm gonna be talking about the first half of the year. Also, I'm trying not to name the same book more than once, so some of these questions I might have answered with a different book like that I've already mentioned, but I don't want to repeat it, so I found a different book to answer the question. Does that make any sense? I don't really know. Let's get started. I will put all these questions below if you want to film this video or do a bookstagram post, something like that, or answer any of these questions in the comments. So let's do it. First is the best book you've read so far in 2023. So I couldn't just pick one. So I have a few of my favorite books. No one's gonna be surprised by any of these. First is Practice Makes Perfect. I don't really have these in order because I can't decide, but I just love all of these so much. So Practice Makes Perfect, Sarah Adams' book, came out this year. It's the second book after When in Rome. I talk about this literally all the time, so I'm not gonna say much about it, but it's so good. You should read When in Rome first and then read this. But literally I've read this twice this year because it's so good. I'm trying to talk not much about these. It's small town, closed door, big fan. And then we have the Magnolia Parks universe. So I did read, honestly I read all of these this year. I read Magnolia Parks for the first time a few years ago, but I reread it in June. So technically I read all these this year, but my favorite out of the four is Daisy Hates 2. Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. I love this book so much, like literally so much. I just love Julian so much. And I love like these characters and the writing and everything about it is just perfect. Like this series is perfect. Magnolia Parks is like these characters in high society London, rich, well-known, things like that. These books are more like a mafia romance, the Daisy Hates, but they also are in the same timeline. So Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates are the same timeline. Magnolia Parks, Long Way Home, and Daisy Hates the Great Undoing are also the same timeline. So love them so much. They're beautiful and painful and everything of the sort. So next we have Happy Place, Family Henry. So good. This is like basically Harriet and Wynn are fake dating because their friends don't know they broke up, so they're fake dating on this trip with their friends, but it's so much more than romance and it's just so good. I feel like I'm trying not to talk a lot about these books because I've already talked extensively about them in previous videos, but literally incredible. Like love the writing, loved like everything. Like I just loved it so much. And then lastly is The Good Part by Sophie Cousins. It doesn't come out until November, but it was so good. I talked about it in a recent vlog, my recent wrap up, but it's incredible. Like literally so good, learned so much, loved every minute of that. So those are my favorite books so far this year. Big fan of all of them, and I'm gonna try not to use those as answers to the next questions because the next question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2023. Technically Practice Makes Perfect is a sequel, but no, I'm not gonna pick that one. I'm going to pick The Ballad of Never After, which honestly I feel like a lot of people are saying is the sequel of 2023, but this was so good. It took me a while to get through the first half, but the end of this book literally wrecked me and I cannot wait for the third one to come out. So I love this so much. It's like a fairy tale fantasy YA. The first half was made up by the second half because it was so good. Next is new release you haven't read yet but want to, and honestly it was so hard for me to find one of these because I feel like most of the new releases that have come out I've read. Watch me after I film this video think of a new release that I haven't read, but I think most of them I have read, but I do have this one that I own that is a new release. It came out in May, so I'm considering it a new release. Summer Reading by Jen McKinley. I bought this in May on our trip to Nashville. Love you girls if you're watching this. Love you so much. Allie and Reagan, if you don't follow them. But anyways, I bought this on that trip and I didn't know it was a new release, but it did come out in May. So I really want to read this. It's like a summer romance set in Martha's Vineyard. Sounds very good. So I really want to read that. But other than that, I feel like I've read most of the releases that have come out recently because I either pre-ordered them or I read an arc of them, etc, etc. Next is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have so many of these because I'm so excited about so many books. So the most recent, or the one that comes out the soonest, is The Roommate Pact by Allison Ashley. I'm so excited for this book. I don't really know actually what it's about. It's like a roommate situation by the title. I don't know, but I'm so excited for that. And then A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. It's the third book after The Ballad of Never After. I need that book literally right now. I'm so excited for that book to come out. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait. I'm like, literally, I need it right now because the end of this, I need something else. Me and Allie have been like brainstorming our theories for book 3 and it's so fun. So I'm so excited for that book. Literally cannot wait. Then we have The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is like a spinoff of the Inheritance games and I'm so excited. It comes out in August. Then we have Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. It's the third book in the Knock 'Em Out series. There's Things We Never Got Over, Things We Have From the Light, and Things We Left Behind. This one is about Lucian and Sloane. So excited. It comes out in September. Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I'm actually so excited for this book. I read Icebreaker in June and loved it. And I'm so excited for this book. It's the second book in the series. Cannot wait for that. Then we have Betting on You by Lynn Painter, my dog. It's just walking around. I am so excited about this. It's a YA romance. We love Lynn Painter's YA romances. So very excited for that. It comes out in November. Okay, so I forgot some of the releases that I'm very excited about this fall. So I'm gonna include this clip here. But first is the 6th book in the Eden series, Sable Peak. It's about Mateo, I think is how you say his name. And then also the 5th book in the Chestnut Spring series. It's about Bo. I don't know his name and I don't think the cover's out, but I wanna read that. And then I also want to read A Little Magic by Lindsay Lanza. She wrote Speechless, which I really loved, and I'm very excited to read that book. So there's 3 more releases that I'm very excited about that I forgot to include. So the next question is the biggest surprise, and I have to say the Chestnut Spring series very much surprised me. I was not expecting to enjoy them. That is Flawless, Heartless, Powerless, and Reckless. I didn't love Reckless, so I'm talking just strictly the first 3 because I love them so much. This was just such a fun time. Like, I didn't think I would want to read it. I didn't want to read it. Like, I didn't plan to read it, and then I did and loved it so much. So highly recommend. It's a small town cowboy romances. A great time. You've probably heard of them. They're all over the internet right now. And they are very spicy, so just be aware of that. So love them so much. Specifically Powerless. It's my favorite of the series so far. Next is the biggest disappointment of the year. And I have a few. This might be a hot take, but my biggest disappointment, one of them was the ACOTAR series. I was so excited about this series because everyone talks about it. And so I did reading blogs on all of these books. I have one spoiler-free with ACOTAR. It has spoilers and spoiler-free sections. And then I did one on these 2. And basically I gave ACOTAR 3 stars. I did enjoy it and I was excited to continue the series. I gave Akamaw 4 stars. I did really enjoy this one and I tabbed a lot of it. I thought it was just really good. The romance was really good in it. But then I read Akamoth and gave it 2 stars because I just did not enjoy this. I was so disappointed. I'm so sad about this because everyone loves this series and I just didn't. Oh, okay. I just didn't love the series. I'm so happy for you if you did love this, but it was a disappointment in 2023 because there's so much hype around the series. I was really expecting to love it and I just didn't. And then the next one is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I pre-ordered this. I was so excited. This is on my most anticipated releases of the year and it just kind of fell flat. It was just not as good as Every Summer After. There's just some things I didn't like about it. Some things the characters did I didn't really like and I was just disappointed. I did really love the summer setting, so I gave it 3 stars, but it was just not as good as I was hoping it to be. So that is another disappointment of the year, which makes me sad, but you know, it happens. Next is favorite new author, debut, or new to you. This is not a debut author, but she's new to me. So that is Allison Ashley. I read Would You Rather in February, I think, and loved it so much. It's so cute, such a fun romance. It's best friends to lovers, marriage of convenience. I love this. And then in June, I read Perfect Distraction. No, not in June. This month, in July, I've read Perfect Distraction. Really, really loved that one as well. And so I've just really, really loved this author, and she comes out with a book in August that I'm very excited for. And then she has one more book that I haven't read that I want to read in July. So this book does have spice in it, but Perfect Distraction is closed door. So if you want a closed door book, you can read that. And I will let you know if her second book, Home Sweet Mess, I think is what it's called, if it's closed door when I read it. But this one does have a little spice in it. I've heard that people say it's closed door. It's not. There's a little spice in it, but it's not too much at all. And I just thought it was super cute. I really, really loved that. So I really love Allison Ashley. Now we have newest fictional crush. I'm like giddy to talk about this. We have to talk about Mr. Julian Hates. Like, we have to talk about him because I can't. Honestly, I have a couple more on this list, but nothing tops Julian Hates. I have to say he's the top. He's the top tier. We have obviously Daisy Hates and Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. Honestly, if you read this and you're like, why are we getting Julian's POV? Like, I don't really like him. You have to continue the series so you can get to Daisy Hates the Great Undoing because this Julian Hates, oh, I cannot with Julian Hates. I love him so much. He's my favorite character in the Magnolia Parks universe and one of my favorite book boyfriends of all time. He's up there with Aaron Warner, if that tells you anything. But I read Shatter Me last year, so Aaron Warner's a book boyfriend of last year, but literally Julian Hates, I love him so much. I feel like you're either a BJ girly or a Julian girly, and I'm a Julian girly. Not necessarily for Magnolia, but I'm a Julian girly for me. So that is that on that. I had to talk about him because he's my biggest crush of this year. I also really love Jasper from Powerless by Elsie Silver. Love him, he's a sweetie. But nothing tops Julian Hates, I have to say. Then we have newest favorite character. So honestly, a lot of these like a lot of characters I really love from all the books that I previously mentioned, but I wanted to pick something new. And I also wanted to talk about these because I didn't use them to answer any other questions. So that is Defy the Night and Defend the Dawn by Bridget Kimmerer. Duh. This is a fantasy, like YA fantasy series, and the third book comes out next January, and I just really, really love the characters in the series. It's like such a good plot. Like the books are so good, but I just really love the characters in the series. So I had to mention that, but I also love all the characters literally in all the books that I've mentioned so far. They're just so good. Like I feel like I can mention all of them, like the Magnolia Parks universe, you know, Annie and Will. This was a struggle to pick, but I just wanted to mention those books because I think they're so good and I really, really enjoy them. So I loved the characters. Next is a book that made you cry. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to mention books that I've already read or already mentioned, and that is Daisy Hates 2. I have a reading vlog of this and I bawled like a baby when I read this, so I had to mention it. And then also The Good Part by Sophie Cousins. I read that and bawled like a baby as well. So those are the two that I remember really, really crying over. Next is a book that made you happy, and I have quite a few of these. First is My Phony Valentine by Courtney Walsh. This is like a Valentine's Day romance, and it's just so cute. It's such a wholesome, fun time, closed door, and I really, really loved it. I highly recommend if you just want like a cute, wholesome time. It doesn't have to be Valentine's Day to read it. It's just a great romance all around. Then The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This was just a cute, great time as well. It's not closed door, but I just like smiling the whole time. I loved it. And then we have Anything by Juliana Smith, but I read Baggage Claim last year, so technically she's not a new author, so I can put her there. But for books that made me happy, I Can Fix That by her was so good. And then For My Last Email, which I have a physical copy of that she signed. I love her so much. All her books make me so happy, and I'm so happy to have Her My Last Email in my hands. I really want to reread this and annotate my physical copy because I loved it so much. Next is favorite book to film adaptation that you've seen this year. No one's surprised that I'm picking Daisy Jones and the Six because the show came out in March and it was so good. Pretty much exactly how I pictured it when I read the book, and it was just so good. So I highly recommend watching the show if you haven't. This is like it's about a band in the 70s, like a fictional band, and it's just so good. Like the show, they did so well in the show, and like the characters are like literally perfect. Next is Most Beautiful Book You've Bought So Far This Year or Received. So I love Happy Place. I think it's a beautiful cover, but I had to go with Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros because look at the spine. No. Look at the edges. Look at the edges. They're sprayed. There's dragons on them. I just had to pick this as the most beautiful book because it is truly stunning, and I am so excited for the second book to come out. I didn't give this 5 stars. It wasn't a favorite of the year, but I did really enjoy it, and I'm very excited to read the second one, and I did already pre-order it because I need the sprayed edges for the second one so they can match. And also it's just a beautiful, like I went on a wild goose chase. The girls, Allie and Reagan, can attest to that, looking for this because I wanted the sprayed edges so bad, and it's just beautiful. So the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And honestly, I have a lot of books that I want to read by the end of the year, but I don't want to overwhelm myself, so I'm just saying one, well, not one, but a series. I want to finish the Throne of Glass series. So I've read The Assassin's Blade in July, and I'm going to start Throne of Glass next, and then I'm going to read the rest of the series by the end of the year. Hopefully by the end of August. I want to read it that quick. So I definitely just want to finish the series, read the entire series by the end of the year, and see my thoughts. So I have a lot of other books, obviously all the new releases that are coming out I want to read by the end of the year, but that is something that I know I'm going to read, and I like have a priority to read that by the end of the year. So I think that's all the questions that I had to answer. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this journey through the first half of the year. I feel like I read so many good books this year, and I just had a great time. Like it's just been a great reading year. Like it's just been so fun to like read all these books and talk about them with you. Like it's been so fun to like really dive deep into the book content this year on YouTube, and I'm just so thankful that you were here and you like my videos and you like listen to me talk about books. Like it feels like insane. Like when I think about people watching these videos, like it doesn't necessarily compute. Like it feels like I'm just talking to like myself, but there are people watching, which feels insane. So thank you so much for being here. Let me know what you read in the first half of the year, like your favorite book. Any of these questions, please answer them below or DM me on Instagram or do a post on Instagram and tag me. I would love to see. But I think that's it. So I will see you very soon for my next video. Bye.